Right, this is my Reliant Kitten, very modified, which we will go around and see later. We'll start from the front of the car, first looking at the engine. The engine is a Rover V8 from an SDI Rover, 3.5 litre. It cost me £100 from the scrapyard. I've done nothing to it except for paint it. And that is in place of the original idea, which is a Fiat 2 litre twin cam. It had a Morris Minor, but I got fed up with the rust, so I looked around for a small fiberglass car, and the Reliant suited the bill. Separate chassis, double wishbone front suspension, leaf sprung rear. The original plan was to put in a Fiat engine, modify the rear axle, brakes, roll cage, and have a little fast road car. But I got carried away, and you can see the result here. Such a big engine in a small car. What I did was cut out all the inside of the car, so all I had was a bare body shell. This was hung from the roof, and the wheels and tyres dictated the position in the arches. That dictated the position of the suspension. Then the engine went in the space that was left, and I designed and built a chassis space frame to connect everything together. But the gearbox is actually inside the car. The reason for this is I want the car to go as fast as possible, and to go fast you need good aerodynamics. So I've panelled underneath the car, so there's a flat belly panel all the way underneath, because it's just for speed. I'm not bothered about aesthetics, so the gearbox doesn't need to be covered. Thing is the gear shifter. That's a American idea, and basically because it's automatic you still need your park, reverse, drive 1 and 2. Little lever is a reverse lockout. In fact, to put the gearbox into reverse, you have to lift that, so there's no accidental selection of reverse. Safety item, a necessity for drag racing. The car was built with the idea of drag racing in mind, and that is a standing start, quarter-of-a-mile sprint, where it's basically the first person to the other end is the winner, and it's all about acceleration. So everything is built as simply and as light as possible. And inside the car is for function rather than form. I'm not bothered about what it looks like as long as it works, hence there's no unnecessary parts in there. The seats will look very simple, indeed they are, but it was made to fit me, and it is very comfortable. 2,000-mile trip to Germany and back has proved that. The steering wheel is probably about the only bit of show on the car, and it's a tachometer. It's a lot larger than it really needs to be, and basically tells me the revs of the engine. When you're racing, that's all you're concerned about. But with the gearbox being automatic, it changes gear automatically anyway, so I use it more of a speed indicator. I know my RPMs of the engine, the back axle ratio, the tyre diameters, and the revs tell me what speed I'm going. The most important instrument, in my opinion, is the oil pressure gauge, which I have there. My oil pressure goes, I know there's something wrong with the engine and I have to shut down. Then I've got water temperature and the speedometer. That's the standard Reliant speedometer connected up to the Rover gearbox. The cable just went straight in. As it happens, it's very accurate, bearing in mind so many different new parts: back axle, tyres and gearbox. Is from a Volvo 245 estate, and this is fitted as standard with discs, which will suit the performance of the vehicle. The rear tyres, as you'll see, are 12 inches wide each. You may think this is rather excessive, but because I have so much power in a light vehicle, and the idea is to accelerate it as quickly as possible, I need plenty of grip at the rear. This at first sight may seem very weird because the ends are covered up. There are actually very small gaps, and the exhausts are very efficient at silencing, but not too efficient for power. But I don't think I have a problem with excessive power. I mean, lack of power. These are the front wheels, which need to be as narrow as possible, because all they have to do is basically hold the front end up and steer. The wider they are, the more rolling resistance, so the slower I go, hence they're so narrow. Front suspension is based on a Capri strut, which has been modified by one of the suspension specialists in the country, and the suspension is set up to give a lot of self-centering, so the car basically goes in a straight line and don't have to worry about keeping it on the road. Doors is explained because they lift off. It's so much easier to work on a car if the doors aren't in the way. And one side effect of this I found, when the weather's very hot, I can lift the doors off and it's nearly like driving a convertible. And as yet there's been no problem from the police. It took me roughly 18 months to build. I was, I think, about 18 when I started it and 20 when it was done. And I was a student at the time. There's about £4,000 in the car. Majority of it is my own work. I had to subcontract some of the larger engineering jobs where basically I didn't have the machinery, but all the welding is mine, the fabrication, the shaping of the tubes, it's all my own work. The car may look impressive, but does it go? Well, yes it does. 0 to 60 is in around about 4 seconds. The top speed is a geared 120, in which it runs out of rev, so it'll probably go faster. And it covers a standing start to quarter mile in 12.82 seconds. Put that time into perspective, I think the fastest production car does the quarter mile in around about 13 seconds. That's something like a Ferrari F40.
John Beardmore, who built the car, is in shot, as you can see. How tall are you, John?
6'2".
6'2".
The problems when building the car was where to put all the controls, all the switches, where they'll be easy to wire, out of sight. I came up with the idea of a switch box. Up here, we've got an ignition key, a fuel cutout, an electric fan, ignition cutout, lights, wipers, washers, etc.